Hi, my name is Barbara Taylor. This story is about me and my culture. As much as I have of it, this is a hard one because we didn't really use our culture as to say, like a lot of people are really involved in their culture as part of their everyday life, their dress or music, maybe even their speech. It wasn't a part of mine. Our dress was the same as any of the other girls in school. We wore skirts and dresses to school back then. We couldn't really wear pants other than underneath, like if it was cold out or if we had gym class, then we had to remove them before we went to regular class. My language for my culture is German because my background is about 100% German, pretty much. About the only German really spoken was like the older adults, like my grandparents, like if they wanted to talk about something and they didn't want the children to know what they were talking about. Otherwise, English was the main language. They worked very hard on using it correctly and trying to get rid of their accent. They were very proud to be an American, didn't want others to think that they were foreigners. That was a real big thing. The other big important cultural difference would be our food. Most of our food that we ate daily we had meat every meal, and we usually eat lots of potatoes, and we also had a vegetable at every meal. And some form of bread. We ate very little pasta and rice. In fact, I don't remember eating rice until I was like in fifth or sixth grade to really eat it. I had never been really exposed to it. We did do a lot of like soups and stews and pot pies, kind of like caldo type, the Spanish soup with the big chunks of vegetables and things in it. In fact, the only pastas we really had was like maybe once in a while we'd have spaghetti or macaroni and cheese, and then sometimes we had pasta with like chunks of tomatoes in it. So that was pretty much what our staple food was. So how did I ever know anything about my culture? Well, one way was church. I was raised Lutheran, and this religion coming mainly from Germany area. We observed there was different like seasons and that coincide with the Bible and different things um, of the Christianity, I guess, calendar. And so it was about every 4 to 6 weeks or so that was like there was a certain color and symbol that changed. The pastor wore a scarf around his neck, and then the scarves on all the altars and stuff would be changed at the same time. And each one of these was associated with different parts of the Bible teachings and that. And then we'd have like different nights. We'd have night church, maybe a Wednesday night or Thursday night, and then sometimes even Sunday nights. Now those nights, usually then we would have like a potluck dinner. And if we did run it like for several days, then we kind of waited till the last day to have the potluck dinner. Um, but then actually the most, I guess, memorable time to say that was to do with my culture that kind of gave me some kind of background in that was the Oktoberfest. Actually, it's really kind of funny. We use it more kind of like the end of harvest now and that, but it was originally late September to early October. It was about 16 days long, and it started when King Ludwig I married his princess in 1810. He invited like the whole village, and then they had such a big village, they celebrated like in the fields and everything. So that just kind of the tradition followed. The people, each village kind of had a little bit of different types of dress. Everybody dressed up real fancy in their area's dress. That was the tradition there. And then they all came and brought all their traditional different foods, because certain like sausages were different spices and stuff in different areas of Germany. And then their potato salad, they had a hot potato salad, they had a kind of like a vinegar potato salad. They have several kinds. And then there's sauerkraut, and of course there was always lots of beer. That was part of this big festival, the dark and light beer, and lots of dancing, polkas, schottisches, waltzes, all that was going on. Lots of accordion music, and um, And now, like in New Braunfels, they call theirs the Wurstfest because the German word for sausage is Wurst. So that's what, and they hold theirs usually in the first weekend, around the first weekend in November. So it's like a little later down here, probably mainly because I'd say the weather doesn't really start getting cold till about that time. Now, the other big event was Christmas. It always had a big party, usually weekend before Christmas, so everyone came that was able to attend. People dressed up usually like their best suit party dresses and that. Not so much the custom dress. Some did, but mostly everybody dressed in traditional clothes. The food was variety and very plentiful. There was usually several kinds of meat. Since Germans were big hunters and lived off the land, there was always like venison, which is deer meat, duck, pheasant, and other wild meats. There also was, of course, beef, chicken, and pork. Lots of potatoes made different ways, like cream with peas and onions, or the hot potato salad, or vinegar potato salad. Vegetables usually were the root kind, like rutabagas and turnips and things like that. Many kinds of bread, rye, wheat, caraway, and even white. Desserts were always very, very fancy, and there was always stolons there and plenty of cookies. And that, and also again, a lot of dancing. The polkas, the shadishes, that was all kind of the big thing. And I almost forgot some of the foods that was there always was lutefisk, which is a type of white fish, lutefisk, and the other one is the pickled herring fish, and both of those were kind of tradition, almost like black-eyed peas, like to have at Christmas time and that. But other than those two times of the year, we tried hard to be pretty much just the English-speaking Americans, as normal as everyone else. It's like we put it away in a little shoebox until the next year. But how did it really shape my life or influence me? I would say mainly it was the curiosity. We didn't really embrace it like a lot of other cultures do. So it wasn't until I was in high school that I took 2 years of German, learned to speak the language. Unfortunately, through the years, I have lost a lot of it. I still understand a little bit, but I speak very little. I do remember certain words and phrases. Now, the foods, that's something that I've really stayed with. I still have a lot of different German cookies and pastries and things at my Christmas parties every year, and I try to change them out and add new things and stuff, unless one of the grandkids or something makes a comment about something they really like. Then I try to make sure that it's back in the next year. And I do try to go to the Wurstfest as often as I can in New Braunfels, because it does bring back a lot of childhood memories.